Well, welcome everybody to our Magnification Call. Happy to have you as part of our Magnification Nation. This is part of the Kingdom Organizer group, and we are super excited to have you here. Real quick note, we've modified the website such that you can both order refills for your Kingdom Organizer and you can order new Kingdom Organizers right there on the website. So go ahead and check that out. Also, all of the recordings of past magnification calls are right there on the website as well. So be sure to check out kingdomorganizer.com and send your friends there as well. But tonight we've got Mr. Richard Paul Evans in the house. Excited to have him speak to us. Rick, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Carrie. During my last call, Carrie called me to dinner. Oh. And then it's like, you have 2 calls today? And I said, yes. And I went upstairs and dinner was all gone. She goes, I figured you weren't hungry. Oops. It's like, wow, the kitchen was even clean. So all the fun stuff we say before the recording starts, but not necessarily. So it's good to be here. It's good to see you, Michael. And it's good to see all of you. Today's been a really cool day because all of a sudden, it was like the dam burst of this story, the Michael Vey story I'm working on. I wrote so far 3,200 words today. I wrote 3,000 yesterday. And it's just of good words. It's like, oh my gosh, this story is flowing, just flowing. So now I'm studying how to grow cocaine. Not for me, but part of the story, because Michael Vey gets involved fighting a drug cartel. How interesting is that? It's going to be fascinating. It's fun. So anyway, my den, I actually threw everything on the floor. If you can see the floor of my den, it is worse than up above. It's like an iceberg. But also last week I talked about, I just wanted to get together with some of you and go down to my ranch, and holy cow, we basically have more people than we can take. So we'll get back to you as we get closer and put it together, but because the date might not work with some of you, but I'm so looking forward to that. And then I announced a writer's retreat as well. So thanks so much. It's going to be so much fun getting with you. And for the writers thing, Debbie Rasmussen down there, who never shows her face on these calls. I keep looking at her like she's going to respond.
I'm here.
Move. I know you're there.
I'm here.
And she start gossiping that we might be doing a writer's retreat, and that's just about sold out. So thank you, Debbie. You're awesome.
Welcome. So are you.
Okay, I felt like today I want to talk to you about money. Okay. And this is why. We were our alarm went off down at Kingdom Organizer Hall. Okay, and it's like we needed to, the alarm went off because one of the batteries was going low. So we asked someone down there if they would go down and change the battery while they're there. And they said they couldn't because they couldn't afford the battery. I said, I literally cannot, the battery is more than $10. I literally can't afford it. And look, money, life is not about money. As I look at my mother-in-law, and it's like she's in her last days, and it's like the last thing we talk about is money. And Larry left her a lot of money, and it's just like, who cares? It's completely irrelevant in her life. She can't enjoy it. She can't spend it. And she's a good person. She was never into money, but it's just like, at this point, it is. Carrie asked me today, it's like, well, I'm the trustee on this. Like, are you ready to get working on this? And she passes. And it's like, yeah. It's like, it's such a clear example that money just is something we use. But that's the whole point. This man who couldn't even buy a battery, I thought, how many things is he limited in his life from attaining? It's like money is stopping these things. And it's like, it just kind of makes me sick to my stomach. I was raised really, really poor, right? I remember I wanted more than anything a pair of $20 Nike shoes, and I knew I would never get them because they were just too expensive. When you come from a family of 10, life is just that way. And then when Carrie, I posted, some of you saw it, I posted online, we wanted to go out to dinner, and we had a strict rule that we would go out maybe once a week if we were feeling rich and doing well, but usually just a couple times a month. And we really wanted to go out and get some Mexican food. So I got a flyer at the University of Utah saying that they had a special deal. They're going to give you double the normal amount for a pint of blood. So we went down to give blood, literally, so we could eat out. And when I got down there, it was the most skunky place. It was right next to the liquor shop. And so you can imagine who was in there. It was just like, we walked in there, and everyone looked at me because we were like, for one thing, I was clean, and walked in there and just like, I told Carrie when we got there, she goes, "This is a really seedy part of town." I go, "I know, let me check it out." And then I walked back, and it's like, you know what? I'm using the damn credit card. Okay, I'm breaking all my rules just once. We're going to just use the credit card because I can't let you walk in there. Okay, I don't even think it's safe. So, but really, do you have the life you want? And so I just want to give a couple of things with money that's really been helpful to me, and that just to really think about. And most of you know, have you all read this book? I wrote The 5 Lessons a Millionaire Taught Me. Okay, let me just cover just a couple ideas to get you back into it, because I had to get back into it too. Thanks, Michael. I need to get back into it too. Okay, someone came over last week. I talked the kings into buying silver, and we minted our own rounds. Is that cool or what? We made our own 1 ounce silver rounds. So he bought a bunch of silver, and he said, he needs to sell it. I'll say, I'll buy it. And he made $8,000 profit on his silver. I told him to buy it. He did it. He made $8,000. Okay. It's like, and the thing is, I think it's going more. But this is what I want to get across. The first thing is, the thing that blew my mind when I learned about money, and my mentor, Mr. Kerry Hines, the first thing he said, it blew my mind. And if you remember the story, is when I was 12 years old, everything in my life just fell apart. My dad was on a job site. He was a building contractor. He fell through a second-story stairwell, hit the ground, shattered both of his legs, didn't break them, shattered them. So he's taken to the hospital. I remember the phone call. I'm the one who took it at home. My brother Boyd called, starts talking. He gets, "Get mom, get mom." I go, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Get mom now. Dad's hurt." And next thing I know, we're at the hospital, and my dad's in shock. And they have to go through and pin his legs back together with pins because they were just broken so many pieces. Well, 2 things. My dad was the only income we have. 3 things. He's our only income. We have no savings, zilch. And my dad has no insurance. Okay, that is the formula that turns most people homeless. Okay, we were flat out busted. We had some really good neighbors that would bring food over, would some paid bills for us anonymously. One man came over, and he wasn't someone you would think of. He wasn't especially well liked in the neighborhood. People thought he was seedy. But I remember he walked over with a stack of $100 bills that thick. I didn't. Well, my dad told me this. Came over, said, "Tell me when." He was just. It's like, you know what? The other rich people may be looking down on you, but you're the one who showed up and actually did something. And it was a hard time. We moved into a 3-bedroom duplex, all 10 of us. So I just slept on the floor for years. I was, that's just how we lived. And that was a time when I just thought, man, I wish I could have some of those new Nike was new. That's how old I am. Nike shoes with a little brand on it. They were $20. Who can afford $20 for shoes? If you had told me that shoes today are like $400, I would have just passed out, because that was like billionaire territory for me. But it was during this time that one of my neighbors, he was a Mormon bishop in my old neighborhood, the one we had to move out to when we sold our home. He invited all the youth to a lecture about money. And this man, Kerry Hines, is a fascinating man. And he just passed away, and I love him to this day. He was a good man. But I think why he was such a good man was because he understood what it was like to be at the bottom. He picked potatoes alongside the migrant workers up in the fields in Idaho. He got it. And he, like me, came to this decision, you know what? Money's not everything, but having no money sucks. This will limit the kind of life I can have. And so he got up and he told us what happened to him. And so if you have not read this book, I highly recommend it. He held up a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. And he said, the richest man in Babylon. Someone doesn't mind typing that in chat. And the thing was, he was as poor as can be, and he comes across this little fable. And it opened his eyes. Thank you, Joseph. It opened his eyes. Joseph, have you read that book? I don't see Joseph. Where did he go?
I honestly don't remember if I have. Like, I read so many books. I read like tons and tons. So it's on my list to go back and read again, though.
That one's worth reading again. It's very simple. It is a fable. There are the little fables. But what he said to me is, like, when he tells a story, and this is the first story he told, the most important story, and it left an impact on me that changed me forever. He said, I started, yes, by George Clayson, thank you. I started my road to wealth the day I discovered that a portion of all I earn is mine to keep. Okay. That is the difference between rich people and poor people in many cases. Okay. They just give away their money. And to be really open, I could be better with money because I have such a strong feeling that life is not about money. I tend to be kind of a soft pinch. In the early days, I would loan money to people I knew that would never pay me back. And guess what? None of them ever paid me back. None of them. I have a brother that's borrowed more than $30,000, never pay it back. And that was over like 6 different loans. It's like, they just kind of got the sense of, you got money, I don't have to pay it back. But it didn't matter. They don't know if I have money or not. It's like they just assume things. But it's like, but what about your own integrity? But so I make lots of mistakes. And I give a lot of money away to charity. In fact, most of my money is in the Christmas box house. Okay, that's just the reality of it. Not just the money I gave them, but the loans. Having said that, how grateful I am that I was able to have that money to do that. There would be children that would not be alive today. If any of you saw the post I posted a few days ago, a child came in, and after getting all situated, they told him, we're gonna have food and blah, blah. She told her, and then they said, well, what time do we get beaten? What? When do you beat us? You don't get beaten here. That was her life. She got beat every day. She assumed that's what just happened to you. How horrific is that? How grateful I am. There would be no Christmas box house had I not come into money. And so what was my path? How did I get there? Was I just super lucky? Yeah, I was lucky, but on my 14th try. Okay. On my 14th try, I got lucky. So what was it? The first thing is I took what he said and the idea of creating my nest egg. And to me, silver worked. And I want to tell you, if you can find silver, I would buy it, even though it's still kind of high, it's high right now. Now I'll tell you this, I'm not a financial counselor, so I guess legally I can't even tell you this, but I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Something's been going on with silver for a long time. I've been buying silver and gold. I've bought close to $1 million of precious metals over the last 2 decades. A lot of it I sold when everything fell in 2008 and all the stocks fell to nothing. The gold went up so high it covered for it. But it's kind of saved my butt. And so when I start buying precious metals, it's because I just start saving it, you know. Because it looked like wealth to me, and being poor, to have something that looked like wealth was psychologically really beneficial to me. But I've noticed something lately. Silver, I paid for my church mission with silver. I paid for my own mission. I had more money than my parents when I was 18. And what I did is I bought all the silver. I bought it at $3 an ounce, and I went up to $70 an ounce. And that's back when the Hunt brothers were trying to manipulate the market, and they drove silver up to $70 an ounce. So this is just, take it as you will. Doug, don't sue me. I'm just telling you as friends and what I've told my family. Something's been going on with silver for a long time. It's been manipulated, it's been held down. It's like, why is silver not going at the same rate for years, for decades, maybe centuries? Silver and gold kind of go like this together, but silver didn't. And then I had someone who was buying silver, and I was buying 2,000 ounces at the time. And he goes, it's hard to find silver. He goes, Chase Bank bought 600 million ounces. And I go, whoa, 600 million ounces. Well, you know full well that they're not going to lose their money. And then I find out that Goldman Sachs started buying up silver. It's like something's going on behind the scenes. And then I noticed silver doing these weird kind of fluctuations, like changing 10% in one day. It's like, I think someone is just playing this. And if any of you have been following what's going on with Reddit, they did the short squeeze on the GameStop thing. If you followed, that was the big news. Well, they decided they were going to squeeze silver, but they couldn't. They affected it. It changed it $4 an ounce, but they couldn't squeeze it. Why? Because silver, there's two kinds of silver. There's this, which I would tell you to always buy and buy nothing else. And then there's paper silver, right? You get certificates that don't really exist. So there's silver on money, and that's what they use, just like stocks, right? And they use that to manipulate it. But what's happened? Real silver has run out. I read an article last week that England is out of silver. So think about the ramifications. And so what some of the experts are saying, I've been reading a lot of articles on this, they're saying, what happens when we actually physically run out of silver? These big holders of it are going to have to reverse where they are. So all of a sudden, it's like silver. I remember a man came to me and he said, you should buy palladium. I didn't even know what palladium was other than a club, right? And it's like, you should buy palladium. He goes, it's turning into, they're coming out with it. It's about $100 an ounce for palladium. Palladium is more than $2,000 an ounce now. It tripled in price the first month. He was completely right. It's more than $2,000. It's more than gold. It's more than platinum. Palladium is. Well, what they said is, well, palladium's been held down the same way silver has been held down. Anyway, that's just my 2 bits. The bottom line is, if you're going to buy silver, first of all, don't buy it on paper, buy the real thing. But what I'm really telling you is start that nest egg. And I don't care if it's a jar of money. I heard a church sermon that someone was talking about money. They said, every time we got diamonds in our pocket, we put it in a jar. And I thought, well, that sounds funny. He said, that's how we paid for all our vacations. I'll show you. Here's my jar of dimes. Michael, you have your jar, don't you? Don't you have a Winnie the Margins jar?
Right here.
Awesome. I just came up with another idea. I decided I want to do lots of push-ups. I used to do 200 push-ups every morning. That's a lot of push-ups. And I liked the way it made my body look. And now I've gotten wimpy again. So every time I do a push-up, so I do them in bursts between elliptical, like 5 at a time. I pay myself a penny a push-up, which I put in a jar, and it's going to go to my grandchildren. Which means, think about that. I could pay for their schooling. By the time they're that age, they'll probably have like $50,000 in pennies by doing it. So I'm now collecting a jar of nickels, which I'm going to put for Sam and Nora, their college education. But the thing is, everyone wins on that, right? this is the thing that's powerful that my millionaire mentor taught me. Will I ever miss these dimes? Now, bear in mind, this is probably about $40 a cup right here. I took in a jar of coins. I thought there's probably not much here. There's $700 in it. When I took them in, and they were mad. They didn't want to deal with them, but coins, it adds up. But the thing is, you don't even know it. When you start collecting those little things, the truth is, it's not the big thing that capsizes the boat. It's the little leaks. And you have 100 little leaks. I have 100 little leaks. I've been going through and closing some of them up. And some of them have absolutely scared me. I had no idea I was losing so much money on dumb things. Or any of you paying on online on accounts that you haven't used for a long time, that you don't even use anymore. So this is what I'd like you to do. Well, first of all, your nest egg. And if it's silver or gold or whatever you're buying, because the thing is, as long as you don't have to sell the metal, you're not going to lose on it. The only time you lose is if all of a sudden it drops. And silver, if you look at it, you can go on and you can become an expert fairly quickly. You can look at what silver and gold have performed over the last 100 years. Just go online and Google and look for it. You can see what the daily charts are. You can see what it's done in the last month, the last 6 months, last year, last 10 years, last 100 years. Just look at it. And what you'll see is a bunch of this. You'll see what I'm talking about. The silver's doing something funky down here. And you'll say, oh, that doesn't look right because silver and gold's going. Just look yourself and say, is that the way I want to go? But the thing is, as long as you're not forced to sell when it's down, you're not going to lose money. The hard part is to sell when it's rising. That takes discipline. You know, the silver I bought from someone last week, I said they made $8,000 on it. I can sell it tomorrow and make $1,800 off of a 10-minute transaction. Wouldn't you like to make $1,800 off a 10-minute transaction? Okay. People who make money, they start to think that way. I had a man call me. He's a billionaire. And I called him to talk to him about an event I was speaking at. And he goes, Rick, I made $1 million this morning. It took me an hour. I go, how'd you make $1 million an hour? He goes, that was the easiest money I've ever made. He goes, what I did is I put my name on a list to buy a jet. And the lists are about 2 years long to buy these jets. He goes, but now we have all these, and this was some years ago. He goes, we have all these .com billionaires. Well, they've got to have a jet and they don't want to wait. So I sold a guy my spot for $1 million. That was it. It's like, I didn't need the jet. I just put my name on the list. It's like, wow, that's why he's a billionaire, right? Well, the thing is, you may not be putting down, Learjet may not take your name on there, but there are ways that you see that around you. And some are as simple as buying things in bulk at Costco, right? Looking and saying, look, I am going to eat this much ketchup. If you're Diane, she should invest in ketchup because she knows she's going to use it. So find the best price of ketchup. But this is the important thing. Okay, we've talked about winning in the margins. And this is what I'm talking about. Most wealth is developed in the margins, not from your day job. It's around there. So when Diane goes and buys ketchup and saves us money, what she needs to do is realize the savings. Now, and we can talk about entrepreneurism at another time. I would love to. Coming up with ideas. It would be fun to just brainstorm. In fact, I think what we ought to do is go down to the ranch and sit around with a bunch of people who want to start businesses and brainstorm, because you could walk away with major ideas. Like, oh my gosh, that would work. For instance, I'm working with Lynn Taylor, and you know Lynn from Kingdom Organizer. And it's like, you know what? I get thousands of people asking me how to write books, right? So you heard that today, Joseph. Let's do an author ready. $15.95 a month. And we're going to produce 65 to 70 individual lessons that they can go through and build a community. Okay, you know how many people just signed up at $200 a piece? 50 on that call, 45-minute call, $10,000. And that's just starting because I have more than 1 million people to send out to. It's like, you know what? All we have to do is get 1,000 people, and that's $16,000 a month. I like thinking like that. So that's what we're working on right now. That's one of my winning the margins project. It's good for them. It's incredible value for them. And I think that's really important, that anytime you do something, you're looking at it and say, am I giving more value than I'm taking? I think when you work from on a level of integrity, it comes out in everything you do. I always look at something and say, would I recommend this to my own family? And I always do. I always get my family. Would I give this to someone I love? And if I wouldn't, I don't do it. And that's the difference between charitable capitalism, which is the most powerful force on this earth, trust me, and negative capitalism, which is what you see people hating. Okay? So just keep that in mind. I will never tell you to make money at someone else's cause. I have walked away from money because I knew it would hurt someone. Absolutely, I have, more times than I could count. Because in the end, I'm dead. And I have a very strong belief in God. And frankly, I'm not trying to earn his salvation. I'm trying to be worthy of it, of what he's done for me. In the same way I came back from my mission, I looked at my mom and said, I did the best I could. That was a great moment in my life because I said, in all integrity, I did the best I could. And yes, there are times I really sucked, but I worked really hard and I tried to do what was right. You know, that's what I want you to do. But okay, so once you start that nest egg, you win in the margins in two ways. First, win in the margins by savings, you know, just like Diane, the catch up. The other thing is, you all know the 7 golden words? Have you forgotten to use them? Have you been using them lately?
How can I get this for less or something?
Yeah.
Is that the best you can do?
Is that the best you
there
can
it
do?
is.
Have you used it lately? Who
Yeah,
is the story?
yes, I do.
Okay. And still works?
Like a charm.
Yeah, it works really well. In fact, it makes friends. That's the killer thing. You actually get discounts making friends. It's very cool. Is that the best you can do? But this is where we slip up. We get the better deal, and then we don't realize the savings. You know, so let me tell you a story of my brother again. This is a good example. He had a $1,200 bill he owed to Intermountain Health. He had a hospital bill, $1,200. He heard my lecture and he said, okay, my brother's an idiot, but he says to me, Rick's an idiot, but I'll give it a try. And so he calls the hospital and says, is that the best you can do? And the woman says, I don't know, let me ask. And they'll always say, I don't know. Comes back a few minutes later, she goes, I'm sorry, sir, I can only give you half off. Now think about that. One phone call, $600. People, it's huge. One phone call, $600. But this is the mistake he made. See, he already wrote the check for $1,200. It's gone, right? Okay, tear up the check, write a check for $600 to the hospital and a check for $600 to yourself. And guess what happens? That nest egg just grew a whole bunch. It just grew a whole canister of silver. All right. That's the thing about realizing those savings. So when Diane goes and buys ketchup at 50% off, she writes a check to herself for all the money she saved on that ketchup. That's the secret sauce. It's when you realize that, because that money was already gone. Your wealth disappears in places you don't see. It's when you go to the restaurant and you don't realize you're paying $5 for a Diet Coke. Okay. And so one of the things that my niece did when she started, I love this. Heather was a great example. She listened to what I said. She was tired of being poor. She was tired of being in debt. And so she embraced the whole thing. So every day, instead of going, they were eating at like Applebee's. Ugh. But they're eating at expensive places like that. That are really expensive when you think about it. And she started making a sandwich and taking the difference, and she would walk over to the coin shop and buy an ounce of silver every day instead of, at the time it was only $3 an ounce. Then silver doubled. And so she came and sold it to me and made $4,000 and still had $4,000 in there. Okay. She still has thousands of dollars based on what she did. She wished that she had kept all her silver, because now she would have more than $20,000, actually $30,000. But the point is, it worked, and she's grateful for everything she has. But what she did, she substituted. We're not very good at depriving ourselves, are we? Ask Diane. I'm so proud of Diane. She's doing a starvation diet. Look how thin she looks. She looks sickly. Seriously, she's eating like 500 calories a day. Starvation diets are just painful. She has discipline like no one. I could not do what she's doing. However, she's just trying to prove it, what she's doing. She has willpower like no one's business, but you do look very thin. Look at you, my gosh. Don't pass out. However, what we do better is substitute. If I can show you a substitute for that food, that's an easier way to go, isn't it? That's why they have all these like substitute milkshakes and things. We did one plan once. It was Life Start. We did shakes. And so I'd have a shake every morning. It was great. I lost 15 pounds in the month of December when most people gain, just by substituting. So finding ways to substitute in your life and converting it, realizing the savings. That's how you build that wealth. But the more important thing is you start to get that mindset of how money operates. Most people have been conditioned to have the mindset to give away everything they have, including me. And you tell yourself, well, it's great because I'm giving. But the thing is, you're giving to stupid things. I'm giving to stupid things. Save the money and give to good things. Things that will make a difference in the world. Things that actually helps people. But we waste money is what we do. Because we get in that mindset of give, give, give. And make excuses for it. So that's winning the margins with extra savings. And so anytime you have an expense over, I would say, even $100, always ask them if that's the best you can do. Now, if you go to a Walmart clerk, there's less likely to say no, but I've had them actually help. I've had them pull coupons out of drawers. They know what you don't know, okay? So just if you ask in a very friendly, kind, loving way, is that the best they can do on this? They're on your side, and you're engaging them to help you. But then put that in your nest egg. Put that in your savings, in your money jar, okay? And then the second thing, of course, is winning the margins with extra income. And that's finding these things on the side. And I'm constantly looking. And most of the things I do don't work. The mistakes I have been made is when, like my Bookwise company, when I funded all of it myself and lost millions. Okay, that's the big mistake, when rather than saying I could fail. So instead, to step back and say, okay, I don't want to lose. How can I do this without losing? But trying it. And 90% of the things I've tried have broken even. 7% have lost, 3% have worked really well. And it's like my billionaire friend Bob Gay told me, I fell at most of the things I tried. This is the guy, Bain Capital, right? He owns Home Depot and Staples. I mean, this guy deals with a lot of money. And he says, most of the things I do fail. Think about that. Someone as sophisticated as him still fails. It shows that nothing's a sure thing. He goes, but when I succeed big. And I carefully plan my losses. So looking at different ways and taking your unique talents. I look at Alan Smith here, and he's a real estate agent, and he's a good one. And he looks at it and says, well, I mean, how many different ways? Alan knows something that I don't know. First of all, he knows when a good deal goes up on the market, which is not going to be any time for the next few months, right? Because there's not enough housing in Utah. But in the normal world, he knows when a good deal comes up. He could buy and flip homes. I couldn't. Okay, it would not work well for me because I wouldn't know. Okay. Just keeping your eyes open and watching, and then testing. See, what was that, CJ? And Kathy Keller
Saying
just
hey.
wrote- Go ahead. What's that?
Just saying hey.
Kathy Kettler just wrote, here's a win the margins tip. If you ever want to go to Hawaii, go now. $1,000 for a week. Wow. Fantastic. Exactly. Finding that there are opportunities and times that come up in the right time and right place. So, okay. That's what I want to share. Win the mark. First of all, the nest egg. Start a nest egg. If you haven't started it, start it now. Start it today. It's not too late. Because the powerful thing about the nest egg isn't this. Okay, it's not that there's probably, I guess it's probably $300 in here. Cool. It's not that. What it is the mindset. It's training my mindset to look for other things that could score big. And you don't have to base your life on money to do that. I look at money completely as power. Okay, you don't go work out because you want to be Miss Weightlifter America, right? You work out because you want to be healthy and feel good. You want to feel good in your clothing. That's what I'm talking about here. It's like working money doesn't mean you, it's like, well, because I'm going to be a greedy, selfish, wealthy person. You know, that's not what it's about. You're working out financially because you want to feel good in your clothes. You don't want to be worried that you might get a bill you can't handle because you want to be able to help someone if they need some help. So begin the right mindset, build your nest egg, and immediately start working for ways to win in the margins. And if you have not used the 7 golden words for a while, get back at it. Get back at it. We were actually doing that with precious metals last week. Is that the best you can do? Is that the best you can pay for? Is that the best you can sell it? And usually what happens when you ask that and you ask it kindly, they'll actually engage with you and say, is there a better way? Yeah, actually, if you buy this kind, most people don't, I don't tell people that because I don't make as much on it, but you could do this because they know what you don't know. So when you engage people to help you, and then you realize those savings. So, okay, questions. You're writing those 7 golden words. You're going to use them. Anything? No? Please repeat the 7 golden words. And Kathy, I'm so happy all these people are so happy for you going to Hawaii.
Is that
I'd
the
ask you
best
to bring
you
me
can
back
do?
some chocolate macadamia nuts, but I would get in trouble if I did. So enjoy yourself. The 7 golden words. Is that the best you can do? Is that the best you can do? Try it this week, people. And it works both ways. Someone's paying you. Is that the best you can do? Some of us were brought up with a poor mindset. And I've seen people, it's like, I was watching the show on the, I've been studying drug dealers lately. It has to do with my book. And so I've been trying to get into a certain mindset. So I was studying Pablo Escobar. And he goes to these drug dealers. It was the Medellin cartel. They're trying to kill Escobar. And they go, how much do you want? And he goes, we want $1 million. You remember that part on Austin Powers? We're holding the world ransom. We want $1 million. Like, okay, that's it. And the cartel goes, $1 million, we'll give you $5 million. It's like they could have asked for 20 million and they would have done it. It's like, are you kidding? We're making billions of dollars and this guy's cutting out hundreds of millions of dollars a year. You ask for $1 million? It's almost, you almost lose credibility. Is that the best you can do? I want $1 million. But being raised with a poor mentality, as we were talking to someone last week and said, we'll do a website. It's like, I work on a website. I go, how much do you want? She goes, $125. Is that too much? It's like, I think you need to raise your prices. It's like, you're going to build a website for $125. And she actually does really good work. It's like, you're charging $125. It's like, you should charge more. But she's been so used to that mindset of serving, which is wonderful, which is beautiful. But she has to look at herself. Is she taking care of herself too? Is she loving herself too? Because I guarantee if you're not looking out for yourself, there's not many people who are. Most people would just say, okay. Right. So, all right. Y'all feeling wealthy? Trust me, it works. Try the 7 golden words. Think about it. Next week, post on the chat how much you saved. Ruth Williams said, I saved my daughter $1,000 on her car. Alan Smith, they used the magic words to buy a new car a couple months ago. It definitely works. It works. It really works. It's amazing. And Alan, when you did it, did they hate you?
No, they just kind of laughed at me because I asked them twice. They went and did their thing because they always go in the other room, right? So they can
Right.
discuss it amongst themselves and connive and see how much they can get out of me.
Exactly.
And they came back and I said, is that the best you can do? He says, I don't know, because they always say, I don't know, right, Rick? And so they went back and came back and they said, well, this is the best we can do. And I said, are you sure that's the best you can do? And he says, well, yeah, but, and then they marked off a little more. So it worked twice.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll do something like, well, I can throw in those $80 mats. It's like, they'll come up with a little thing like, okay. Diane, what's your favorite 7 golden words? Can you think of it? I'm sorry, I just threw that on you. And you haven't eaten for so long, you probably can't even think.
I don't have time to go shopping.
Okay, who has another good 7 golden word story? Michael.
I used one just on Thursday. I was buying more materials for the monument, and I was down there at Wasatch Steel, and they quoted, they rang it up, and it was actually higher than it was on their website, which they don't keep up to date as much. But I pointed that out, and I said, is that the best that you can do? And they took $60 off of the order and matched the price that was on their website. So so yeah, just last Thursday.
Did they hate you?
Not at all.
No,
Not
they
at all.
actually, the thing is, they usually think you're smarter. They actually
Yeah.
think you're better. Robbie, would you like chocolate with that? Yeah, I had the most ridiculous one we had is I was down at Lovesack, which is, I know it's a horrible name. I was buying a thing for the ranch, the Lovesack of the ranch. Those are the ranch. We'll see the Lovesack still there. And we went to buy it. And after I bought it and paid it, my niece turned to me, who's in the book, and said, you didn't use the 7 golden words. It's like, oh, I didn't. It's like, well, too late now. She goes, no, it's not. And she shamed me. And I was like, all right, I'll just say it, just so I say it. And I said, is that the best you could do on this? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, there was a sell on it. I stopped yesterday. Hold on. And he goes back, he goes, I can give you 25% off, which was like $100 or $150. I go, wow. And then Heather now jumps in. She goes, is that the best you can do? And he goes, well, we had this other promotion. I can give you a free sleeping bag. So I got $125 and a free sleeping bag. And then she goes, is that the best you can do? And no lie, he goes, I've got some free pens. He took a handful of pens and gave them to us. It's like, wow. It's
I
like,
have a quick, sorry.
it's like amazing.
Sorry, I
Go
have a
ahead.
quick story.
Yeah.
We were in property management, my husband and I, and so we went to Home Depot, and this is before Kingdom Organizer and stuff, but I remember him asking for the best deal they could give us on stoves. And they said each stove was like $500. Now that was still a pretty good deal. Like, I mean, there were standard stoves, but he said, what's the best you can do for me? We ended up walking out of there with 8 stoves at $250 each. So yeah,
Whoa.
and I mean, yeah, so that's a great deal. I mean, we were able, because we used to manage properties for owners, right? Investment properties. So, you know, a stove went and we were able to give it to them for like $250. I mean, we didn't want to make any money out of it. It was just part of our job that we were doing.
For the church.
Oh yeah, and we ended up getting 2 for the church, but you don't have because you don't ask. That's what I
That's,
feel.
you know, that's exactly right. In fact, Diane is kind of a genius at this. Have you seen the car she drives? She like puts it out there. And so she decided she's sick of her refrigerator. She had it for all these years. Is it okay if I tell you stories, Diane? Because I'm so proud of you. She's like sick of her refrigerator because it freezes things. It's not supposed to. And it's like, it was older. And so she decided the refrigerator she wanted. And then Diane, what happened? You kind of manifested it. And then you found the exact refrigerator that fit your house. And you went down and they had it on sale. Right?
Yeah, it was off in a corner. And I looked down at my paper. The measurements were just right. I said, what's the matter with this? And they said, it's the floor model. We
How
just
much did you
put
get
it
off?
over there, $600 off.
Wow. And then she got her her COVID check, which came to the exact amount that covered it.
The very
So
day.
here she just said, I want a refrigerator. So she's kind of the queen of manifestation. And I'm not all into that, but partly I do believe that. And I think it's more psychologically, we find things we're looking for. I don't think that there's a magic genie like The Secret says, but I think it's more of a matter of there's a lot more going on around us that we're just not aware of. And Diane seems to be just genius at it. I'll always send her to buy things because she'll always get it for less than I will. Huh? Yeah. Any other cool stories? Will you do it? Will you try it this week? She did. Thanks for sharing that. That was cool. You actually did it. Didn't even know you didn't know you were technically using the magic words.
No, it was just,
Your
yeah.
husband
we
just did it. Good job, husband.
Hey,
That's
Rick,
awesome.
one quick story is just calling your credit card companies and just saying, can I get my interest rate lowered? You know, I paid for this long. And I mean, usually when I call, I'll generally get it lowered. And it actually saves you a ton of money.
Yeah, they usually do. You'd be surprised. The most effective I found are medical. I walked into, when Carrie and I were first married, Carrie insisted we had insurance, and you would think because my parents' situation that we would have health insurance because my parents were completely bankrupted from that. And yet I didn't buy health insurance because I've never been taught. We just didn't do it. And Carrie's like, no, we buy insurance. And we went up to the U and bought the student insurance. The next week I had an appendicitis attack and emergency operation. Thank goodness, because I was like, we had no money and there was several $1,000s. And so I went in, it's like, okay, we still have our deductible, which is 20%. So it's like $400, which was like, it's like my month's salary. It was like, and I went to the doctor. I said, so I'd like to set up payments. And she looked at it, she goes, oh, you're good. I go, I'm good to make payments. She goes, no, you don't have to pay us. I go, what? No, you're good. I never figured that out. It's like, okay. And I never had to pay it. So, yeah, there's so many ways around it. But the thing is, they know ways to get things. They know more about what you're trying to acquire than you do. So they know It's like, oh, well, I can't get you that car for this amount, but by the way, we just got a car come in and it has a few miles on it. That's what happened with Diane's beautiful car. It's like it was owned by one guy who drove up and down I-15. He had to commute to St. George every week. So it has all these miles, but it's in perfect condition. We maintained it and it's like new. It's like, oh my gosh, she gets this beautiful Lincoln that, yeah, it's just like, really? You got it? I couldn't believe it. I thought that was such a good car and it will last forever. It's like, because she just like she saw and started talking to people there and they liked her. And so that's part of that engagement. Is that the best you can do? They know what's going on the lot, on the floor. They know about sales coming up. Think they're a wealth. Anytime you're trying to buy something, whoever you talk to has a wealth of information that you don't have. And you don't know what you don't know. All you're doing is asking them if there's some information that you don't know. You know, have you ever gone to someone to buy something and they tell you it's going on sale tomorrow? That's what I'm talking about. People are willing to do things that you don't go. So then you realize that savings and you put it in here. And that's when you see that just start to expand. And because of that, you start feeling stronger, more confident, more assured about money. And it then starts to perpetuate this mindset as opposed to the opposite. And you know the people the opposite. And it's like I said, the guy who couldn't buy the battery. It's like, how can you live when you, I mean, how can you possibly have a life at that age and not be able to buy a battery? It's like, how many things are you missing out on? So,
Rick, one other cool story about cars. One of my clients, one of my former clients, he really wanted to drive a Ferrari. And so he found a way to basically get the car and basically drive it the entire time. And then he's going to resell it for almost identical to what he paid. So if you get it, if you play it right, there's a way to basically just to get the car essentially for free. You know, you get a free lease for a year or two or something. And these guys just continue to trade and trade and trade, and they never have to pay hardly anything.
okay, so here's an example. That's exactly right. Because when you're winning the margins, you're not caught under the idea of you're going to pay this certain way. You're caught in the idea of what you want. So this, for instance, have you ever seen a Prowler? This is my car right here. Have you ever seen a Prowler like this? It looks like a rocket. It's pretty cool. It's fun. Okay,
I'd
so
actually like you to sell that to me, Richard, but I don't think you will.
I'm gonna give it to my son. I went down to buy it and it was $75,000. This is 20 years ago. And I go, I don't want to pay that much, but I knew that they were actually selling them for $40,000. But they added, it was 75. They put a $35,000 price on it because they were so desired. And so I went back and I started calling around and I found one in Los Angeles that would sell it for the sticker price. I thought, well, I can pay $75,000 here, which I'm not going to do. Or I can pay $35,000, which means I could actually fly to California and take my family to Disneyland and then drive it back and still save $30,000. So I went back to the dealership and said, look, I showed him the thing from California, said, I'm just going to buy this one unless you want to sell yours. And he goes, well, that's way too much. We can't do that. So that's fine. And he goes, well, let me keep your number. And he called me an hour later and said, okay, we'll sell it to you. Okay. The manager knew the situation. They were probably sitting on that car too long. He needed to move it. It's a unique car with a unique audience. I mean, it only has 2 seats. It's a Roadster. How many people are going to spend that much money for a Roadster? So that's what you're engaging people to do. And you have bills right now. Take one of those bills and try it. It's not hard to do. And if it seems hard, it's because you're thinking you have the wrong attitude, that you're looking at it like you're trying to be mean or hurt someone. You're not. You're asking them, is there something I don't know about this bill? They might be so grateful that you're even going to pay it that they want to work with you. But so if you're paying off a bill, you're looking at an expenditure, ask them, is there another way? Is there a shortcut? That's all you're asking. Just like you're asking to get how to get somewhere. Same thing. Okay, do it this week. I won't talk about money next week, I promise. So, all right. I'm gonna go eat dinner. Love you all.
Thanks, Rick. Have a good day.
Kathy, when are you going to Hawaii?
He's in.
I'm here now. I'm in Waikiki right now.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's awesome.
I'm so happy for you.
I know. My round trip ticket was $523. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Good job.
Planes are cleanest I've ever seen them. They have to put a seat between you, so you're
Yeah,
not.
so it's like having first class.
It's awesome.
It is.
Mm,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Carrie's and I thing is down in Phoenix, we love the Phoenician, right? You know that, CJ? The Phoenician. Well, it used to be that in the summer, no one wants to go to Phoenix in the summer because it's 120 degrees or whatever. But we don't care. So we stayed in the cottages up there, which are $1,000 a night for like $250, and there was no one else there. So we had the swimming pool to ourselves, and we had
Perfect.
this like room, the cottage that was like the size of our small house.
Wow.
And then people caught on. But for years, it was like our best vacation. Go to Phoenix at the hottest time of the year because no one's walking around Phoenix outside anyway.
How funny.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you're in Hawaii right now. It's fun.
Yep.
Oh, wait. Someone had a comment that I missed. Sandra? Oh, Sandra had a comment. I'm sorry. Are you
I
still
just
there,
wanted
Sandra?
to say that it's not just about money. On my life reset at 60, I wanted to garden, flowers and all these things. And I found people, you mentioned that people love to teach. I have found that if you find someone that's passionate about something, they love to pass on their knowledge. People are hungry to share. And I've learned tons from people in the community garden, a lady that came and taught me how to do my own yard. People want to share.
That's true.
It is so true. And that's true there. And okay, one last story. I'm a storyteller. I go to this party in Las Vegas. The guy put up $400,000 for this party he threw. Paris Hilton was there. He turned his whole yard into Gilligan's Island. And he had actors that looked like Gilligan's Island's cast. And I'm talking, it's like, he spent $400,000 on this party. He brought the Beach Boys played. This is a small party. There were like 100 of us, you know? And anyway, it's like, how do you get so much money? And he goes, he was a dealer at a casino. And these guys are dropping $10,000 checks or, you know, little, what are they? Little
Chips.
Yeah, like 10, he goes, and he loses 10, the guy loses 10 grand, doesn't even blink. And he goes, how do you do that? How do you have that much money? He goes, oh, money's easy. He goes, no, it's not. No, it is. He goes, how much money do you have? Like 10,000. He goes, okay, I'll teach you. You can come do this. And it's just like you said, Sandra. And he goes, I'm doing a real estate deal right here. You can invest. So he does that, invests in it, triples his money. Guy says, want to do another one? Sure, triples his money. By the time I meet him, he goes, you know, I have 40 million. When is it too much? When do I don't really need more. When do I just stop? That's an interesting question. That party, by the way, they raised $17 million for cancer research. But so he wasn't just like this lunatic. But it's like the same thing people do, especially, you know, rich people, they like you. Yeah, I'll help you. They'll tell you how. Just like Kerry Hines, what a good man, taught this 12-year-old boy how he became wealthy. Well, look at me. I'm sitting here talking to you, blabbing all night, telling you I do the same thing. So anyway, love you all. Take care. Have a great, fantastic week. And next Sunday, we'll talk about something spiritual.
thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Take care, all.